Hey, it's Dan, and in this video we're going to install this brake light strobe controller on this Honda Grom. What this does is it flashes your brake lights anytime the brakes are applied to increase your visibility. The job's about a 1 out of 5 in terms of difficulty. Should take you less than a half hour to finish. You'll need a couple of basic tools. Soldering iron along with some solder is really helpful. It's going to make your electrical connections much more secure so you don't have to worry about them vibrating loose over time. You'll need some electrical tape along with some wire cutters and wire strippers. So the first thing we'll do is identify which cable goes into the taillight assembly. In my case, it's really obvious here. It's going to be the blue sleeve, that it goes right to the taillight. It's routed from the back here, goes along the side of the bike. So the easiest way to get to it is going to be right under this white clamp here. So I'll work the cable out of the white clamp and then I'll slice it open to get access to the cables that are inside. I will use a razor blade to cut this open. So whenever you're doing this, just be careful not to slice into any of the cables that are inside of it. You only want to cut the sleeve. All right, so this looks great. So I can see the 3 cables that are inside of it. I'll just use some wire cutters here to snip the sleeve out of the way, just so I don't have to worry about it. It'll just make the job easier. So I cut into each of the cables to figure out which one is for what. I know that there's one ground, there's one for the daytime running lights at 12 volts, and one for the brake light, which is at 12 volts. So in my case, the solid black is the plus 12 daytime running lights. The solid green with the yellow stripe is the plus 12 volt on the brakes, and just the plain solid green is going to be the ground. So the way that I'll hook this guy up is connect one side to the bike, and then the other side is going to go to the actual taillight assembly. So the first thing I'll do here is strip the remaining cables. Really just need to take off about a 1/4 inch or so. And that'll allow me to connect everything back up again. So I ended up snipping the black cable first because I assumed it was ground. It wasn't, and it's actually the cable that I did not need to cut into. So in your case, if you have the same colors on your bike, don't snip the black cable, only cut open the 2 green ones. So the solid green will be the ground. The green with the yellow stripe on it is going to be the brake actuator. So in my case, what's done is done. I'll just go ahead and solder them back, no big deal. And then on the strobe controller, there's a sticker that identifies which side goes to the battery, so which one is the input and which one is the output. So V in goes this way, out goes back. So I'm going to connect the red cable to the solid green with the yellow stripe. Just do it a nice give it a nice twist. And we'll do the black cable and connect it with just the solid green. And then on the other side, my red will go to the solid green with the yellow stripe. And the black will go to the solid green. So as you wrap these guys around, make sure that you don't let any of them touch, and also try to make sure that you don't have any sharp edges poking through because it's going to make taping a little bit more difficult later on. And then finally, I'll just go ahead and reconnect the black to black. This is the cable I did not need to cut, but I just didn't know which one was what. And unfortunately, I took the wrong guess. Okay. So before I solder anything in place, I want to do a quick test run here. It's really important not to allow any of these guys to touch each other, so I'll double check that. Also make sure that they don't touch any of the metal surfaces on the bike, like the frame here. That could cause a short circuit that'll cause you to blow out a fuse. So this looks okay. We'll turn the key. Okay, nothing blew up, that's great. My running light is still on. Let's see what happens when I apply the brake. Beautiful. All right, so now that I know everything works, next step is going to be to solder the connections. I already had my soldering iron sitting over here warming up. Again, this job works much, much better if you have a soldering iron. It's worth the $20 or $30. It's going to make sure that your connection is solid and you don't have to worry about it vibrating loose over time. So you really want this for this job. So let's wait a moment to allow the connections to cool off, and then we'll tape them using electrical tape to prevent any shorts. Okay, so now that I've taped them all individually, double check to make sure that there's no exposed wire over here. I'll go ahead and bundle them together and then wrap the whole thing to make sure that it's as sturdy as possible. So. All right, and then finally, I'll use a couple of zip ties to attach the controller to the wire bundle back here to make sure it doesn't flop around. There's plenty of space in this bike to tuck it away. And I'll just attach it to one of these cables here. Okay, and now finally the moment of truth. I'll turn the ignition back on, running light still works, and the brake washer still works. Hope you found this helpful. If you did, please give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you next time.